I think one of the absolute beauties of this industry is the variety that exists within it. And that's on both sides of the marketplace.
You're listening to the Affiliate Marketing Podcast, powered by Affiverse, ultimate destination for affiliate program news, insights, growth opportunities, partnerships, and affiliate program strategy. Welcome back to the Affiliate Marketing Podcast. And today I have an absolute industry legend joining me on the mic, someone who's been at the forefront of affiliate marketing for a very long time. Joining me is Adam Ross, the CEO of Awin, the world's largest affiliate network with over 1,000 employees across 15 countries, 3 continents, and servicing around 30,000 clients in the performance industry. As CEO since 2021, Adam's been driving some of the boldest moves in the industry for a very long time. From launching the Conversion Protection Initiative that's already recovered over $100 million in lost affiliate revenue for partners in their network, to navigating the seismic shift of AI-powered search that's fundamentally changing how content publishers operate and support brands with brand citation. Today, we're diving deep into all of it, from the start of his journey to present. And I'm asking him about his unlikely journey from dentistry student to CEO, how AI and LLM search are muscling in and fragmenting the search space, and why Awin is forcing the industry to upgrade its tracking standards, the future of performance-based commissioning models, and where affiliate marketing is going to be headed in this new Renaissance affiliate era. So Adam, welcome onto the show. It's been a long time coming. I'm really glad to have you here this week. Thank you very much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
I think the best place to start is really at the beginning. And when we came together to talk about what we were going to talk about on this show, I thought it would be quite interesting for kind of new people in the industry who see you at events, hear you speak, probably follow what you say on social media and other places, but just to hear your story about how you got into affiliate marketing and how you became the CEO of Awin, one of the largest networks in the world.
It's a funny story, really, because who grows up, especially in the 80s and 90s, thinking they want to do affiliate marketing? It didn't even exist, right? So I came from a family that all did vocational degrees and was very much encouraged to go that same path. Actually studied dentistry at university, didn't finish it, which is probably a very good thing, the way things worked out. And what I was always into as a kid was messing around with the internet and building websites and that type of thing. And I was also interested in business. And so when the dentistry thing didn't work out, I thought, well, this is what I really want to do. And I thought about going back to university to do something related to that. And in the meantime, just applied for a ton of jobs. And purely by luck, I had a fantastic recruiter, really, who introduced me to the founder of what was then Affiliate Window. And we met, we got on very well. He gave me a chance. Of course, I had no real relevant experience. He just gave me a chance. I started integrating clients on the network. I was in the sort of technical support and technical integrations. And I never looked back. I just loved it because it's just this perfect mix of those things that I loved. Tech, the internet, business, just a great mix of all those things. The rest is history. I've loved it ever since.
Now, that's such a cool story because no other industry, most industries want experience, right? But in this industry, because I myself also fell into the affiliate space quite by accident, it kind of finds you. You don't find it. And it's so interesting how this industry has grown because we all come from completely different skill sets, background, industries, and yet it still works because affiliate marketing is the kind of place where any skill set can be harnessed and utilized and put to work to actually make relationships grow. So as long as you're kind of like a people person or you tech savvy, those are the two main areas that really get you going in this industry. So if you're new to the industry and you're maybe just graduating from university and you've come onto this podcast, it is really a great place to come and build a career. And Adam is living proof of this. How many years have you been working at Awin now?
It's quite 21 years. It's something horrible. I didn't have any gray hair at the beginning of that. But yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. And I think one of the absolute beauties of this industry is the variety that exists within it. And that's on both sides of the marketplace, right? So you've got any advertiser can work in it. So you get this incredible mix of different sectors. And then on the publisher side, it's really just a microcosm of everything in digital. And anybody with an online engaged consumer audience can be a publisher, can be an affiliate. And that, again, gives it just this incredible variety and it's incredibly adaptive to whatever's going on in the world today. That's what keeps it super interesting.
Now, I've got a question for you because 21 years at the same company, how do you do that? That's unheard of especially in online, because online is very fast paced. You're moving to different, 3 to 4 years average at a company when you're young and get going. How did you manage to stay there for 21 years? Because it was obviously very different 21 years ago to what it is now, to the be that it is now. So what all have you done in the affiliate space, like in this company for 21 years? So you started at integrations.
I started with integrations, and I would say that that's, let's say, 3 to 4, maybe 5 year sort of span is I experienced exactly the same thing in my career. At the end of that sort of period, whatever it was, I'm always thinking what's going to happen next. And what's happened next is just a variety of major changes. So I started off doing that, integrating the clients. Great foundation, by the way, for anybody looking to get into the industry, because you understand the real nuts and bolts of how an affiliate program works at a technical level. I went on to run that team, and then I went on to launch Affiliate Windows' first key accounts team at the time. So managing the big brands and helping them make the most of affiliate marketing. And then very quickly, I joined the board of the company. I was part of the team that sold the company. So that was another major milestone. We sold the company to Axel Springer, and then it changed again. Obviously, the company grows up, gets investment. We did our first acquisition, which people who've been in the industry for a long time might remember. We acquired a company called Bias that was our biggest competitor at the time. So that was a whole new phase that also got us launched into the US because they had a small US operation. And then Axel Springer, who acquired us, also owned another affiliate network called Xanox, which was more in continental Europe. And then they said to us after a few years, bring those two together. So that was a whole new phase that started for me in 2014, where really it just got me out of the English speaking world. And we had then offices all across Europe, learning different cultures and how to bring those two very similar, but also extremely different businesses together. And that then brought me to the next phase, which was in 2021 when I took over as CEO. And all the while, there's been a bunch of different deals and acquisitions that have changed the nature of the company throughout that. So for me, the thing that's kept it interesting is that just every 3-4 years, there's been a major milestone, which has changed, kept it engaging and kept me on my toes, I would say. And that continues today.
And that's a beautiful story as well, because it just shows people that don't have the history of our industry, because it's not written down anywhere. Nobody's writing down the history of affiliate marketing, and yet it's growing double digits every single year. But just how quickly the industry has moved, because in all of those instances, there was like major acquisitions, amalgamations, tech changes that were happening at the same time, new ways to track. And we're in another one of those pivotal stages, I think, or I believe, in the affiliate industry right now with the insurgence of AI and LLMs, where we're getting another like evolution of what affiliate marketing is about to look like. And I want to dig into some of that. And it's quite timely that we're on the AI question. But what do you see? Because obviously from a tech standpoint, your team is highly invested in growing with the industry and making sure that you can actually accommodate all of these changes for advertisers. But what are you seeing in AI search disruption right now? And what are some of the things that your tech is actually focusing on to assist that leap again? Because that's the only way I can say it, is that there's another leap happening, like there was with social, like there was with mobile. And none of us really know how it's going to come out. But what are you guys seeing from an early kind of tech standpoint?
It's a hugely dynamic space at the moment that's changing almost every time you look. And I think what's true beneath it all is that there is high quality content is absolutely essential, and a major role in influencing users in different ways. And what we're seeing now, of course, is that content is being used to give answers to consumers that are using LLMs. And so we're going to see that play a massive role in customer journeys in different ways, probably expanding those journeys. At the moment, maybe I see it more playing a role in the research phase. But of course, you've seen innovations around integrating and checkout into those experiences, and we'll see whether that takes off. There's been a number of attempts over the years, I think, to integrate checkout into publisher experiences that haven't succeeded. Does this make that change more inevitable and could get consumers more used to that idea? I don't know. That remains to be seen. But what's certain at the moment is that content is providing huge value and increasingly is not getting tracked and rewarded for that value. And that, I think, is an exciting opportunity, right? Because we can no longer rely entirely on the old tracking infrastructure and the old way of doing things. We have to think of new ways of doing things. And we're already starting to see a variety of different solutions trying to expose the value that's being driven from that content, work out which content is being cited by the LLMs, and then presumably moving on to say, okay, if that content is providing value, then there's got to be a mechanism in place to reward that. And I think there's going to be a whole bunch of new signals that we need to track and bring into the system to expose that. I think some of the things I've seen are going to give part of the answer, but not the whole answer. So I think I've seen a lot of solutions where the answer engine optimization or generative engine optimization, where you're firing a bunch of prompts at the LLMs and working out which content is coming up. I think there's a fascinating commentator called Lily Ray, SEO expert. She actually spoke at our think tank event last year in Portugal. She's coming again to our think tank event in Chicago, which is this April the 20th. So people should log on and get their tickets to that just to hear her speak. She's really fascinating. But she posted some research. I think she was just quoting somebody else the other day, where she said that in most cases, I think there's a less than 1 in 100 chance that in ChatGPT or Gemini, at least, if asked 100 times, it will give you the same list of brands and products as an answer. The idea of firing a bunch of prompts at a system and saying, okay, this content featured, it's going to give you some insight, but it's not going to give you the whole picture. So I think you've got to take some of that insight, but there's what we want to work on as well is more deterministic ways to work out which content is appearing and why, and marry that together with some of these other insight tools. And I think everybody needs to get used to the idea, particularly advertisers, that the old ways of deterministic tracking are not going to survive in the future, right? There has to be an openness to more probabilistic tracking methods. And I think, our job is to try and use as much data as possible to get everybody comfortable with that. But this is just the way of the world. And I think we've tested the waters a little bit with introducing new tracking methods, which I think we're going to come on to talk about a bit later. So I think there is openness to that. I think what we're also seeing is a massive increase in different types of reward models that advertisers are willing to pay, a massive increase in tenancy payments, for example, which I think indicates that more value is being delivered than can be tracked at the moment. But it's also a blunt instrument, right? It serves a purpose, but I think there's way more sophisticated ways that we can do this. But I think fundamentally what gives me great confidence is that the quality of the consumer's experience using an LLM is still fundamentally based on content. And if the business model around creating that content no longer functions, then the content won't be produced and the quality of the answers won't be any good and the experience won't be any good. So there needs to be a way to solve this. And I think there are going to be ways to solve this. And that, I think, presents a massive opportunity actually for the space, which we're going to lean heavily into.
Well, I think the data tells the story. And up until now, it's been quite difficult to get holistic data because there's fragmented data. You've got your internal BI team telling you something. You've got the other media teams and SEO teams telling you something. The PPC team's got a little bit, they chirp in. But from an affiliate perspective, because it covers everything, like you can work with a partner in a performance-based way in every channel. There's no silos anymore. It becomes almost impossible to tell that story. So I think this is a year where really serious players are going to double down on their data. They're going to want to integrate their data and have a look at the story from the beginning, from the first research phase that happens, of which the LLM citation is now part of that journey. It's not just social media or Google or whatever the case may be. The entry points are so many. And some of our clients are actually looking at that right now. And some of the numbers are actually quite astonishing. We have tested things where we turn publishers off for a little while and see what happens with a knock-on effect. And then 3 weeks later, we get told, turn them all back on because it's had almost like a 10 to 15% incremental increase on all of the other channels because the pathways are dispersed now and not linear. They're not linear anymore. So my next question to you, which you touched on already, is are we primed for new publisher commission models? Are we moving away from that last click, last touch, CPA affiliate model that has stood us in good stead 20 odd years up until now? And when do we make the change? Because especially for bigger brands that have got like multiple channels, you can't just all of a sudden pull the plug and go, okay, the trend is we need to work with these types of publishers. So let's just pull everything else because we've proven that it can have a knock-on effect, but only when we have all of the data in one place. Is performance still going to be the word that we use for working with partnerships? How do you think that's going to change?
I don't think it's binary, right? I think there's going to be a bunch of new ways to expose value. And there's got to be an acceptance that in a lot of cases, the old ways of tracking that from a technical perspective are no longer going to work. Now, that doesn't mean that there are going to be certain partners where it does work. And so it's still super important to have deterministic tracking technology at the base of everything. But I think what's going to happen is that there are certain types of partners and anything that's further further upper funnel and influencers, which of course is one of the fastest growing partner types on the platform. And that no longer is appropriate. And you need to bring in other tracking signals and other methods to determine where that value is being delivered from. I think fundamentally our job as a platform is to broker appropriate partnerships between advertisers and publishers, to track them, to report on them, and to pay them. Those are the very basic principles and pillars that we need to stand on. Now, up until recently, I would say that underpinning all that was that robust deterministic tracking, and it will stay there as a pillar. But there needs to be new methods we deploy to track and expose value. And I think what we're already seeing today from a lot of advertisers is they're saying to us, the channel is becoming more efficient. And that's not just because everyone's getting better at how they do it. They are, right? But that's not the only reason. The real reason that everybody needs to accept is that there's a bunch of journeys at the moment that aren't being tracked, whether it's because of AI, whether it's poor tracking setups, whether it's because there's more upper funnel partners coming through the space. Whatever the reasons, there's value being delivered that isn't getting rewarded, and that's making the ROI of the programs improve, let's say, artificially. And we need to get to a point where that value gets exposed in different ways and gets rewarded in different ways. And I think that's the next phase of affiliate marketing. It's not throwing one way for the other, it's additive.
Have you seen anybody, obviously you've got like thousands of clients on your platform, they're all in different industries doing different things, because what you're talking about has actually an impact on SaaS, for example. Like in the SaaS industry, we traditionally don't just track last click, we track actions and everything else that happens, like intent, we track everything. So have you seen any clients now already adopting alternative commissioning models? Like you mentioned, you're seeing a lot more tenancy placements coming through the affiliate space, which in 5 years ago, it was always CPA or rev share. Are you seeing that trend already on the data that you have in your platform?
I think we've seen for a while advertisers' openness to different types of tracking, and there's some that have been extremely adventurous and tried to split commissions. We have assists logic inside the platform as well that can facilitate that, but there's nothing that's, complete slam dunk, I would say. And I think that where we need to get to is stop treating all affiliate traffic equally. Different traffic has different value and possibly needs different tracking methods and different reward mechanisms. And I think that's the way we're leaning. And I think, look, our job is to try and interpret all the different signals that are coming in, how the market is evolving, and try and simplify it for brands. I think it's way too complex at the moment.
And also create methodologies as well from some of the stuff that you're seeing other clients try and test and implement. And that's the thing, is nobody knows what the answer is. We're busy learning it right now. So it's going to take 6 months, 12 months to formulate, to look at the data, to see how things are changing. I think it's more the message that I want to give to people listening to this is be open to change, because change has to happen because of everything else that's happening in the environment. So you can't keep running your program on last click, where some industries you can still. The majority of e-commerce is far too complex now to be having, no clear tracking attribution put up into your program against all the other channels that you're working in. So you do need a level of sophistication and a level of understanding about how tracking works right now if you are going to be entering the space and creating a program.
Totally agree. And those who are open are going to take the most advantage of this. I think, what fundamentally sits at the base of everything here is that it's in everybody's interests, advertisers, publishers, to find a system that works here and to create the incentive for high quality content and user experiences to be created. If the incentive is no longer there, they won't be created. People are going to lose a lot from the ecosystem. That's not going to be good for anybody, advertisers, consumers, publishers, nobody. But what I'm seeing, and I think I'm generally an optimist, is everybody understands that and they're looking for different ways at the moment to make this work. And I think that stands us in very good stead. And by the way, that's another great trait of the affiliate industry. I think over time, people are open to new, it's a home for innovation, and innovation requires new thinking and new ways of working. And I think we're well set up to take big advantage of what's coming next.
I think out of all of the digital streams, affiliate and social media are the two that are the ones that are constantly changing and adopting new methodologies and things. Before SEO, AEO, PPC, and maybe people will shoot me for saying that, but I do think you need to be creative and happy to fail if you're working in marketing, because it's constantly changing all the time. So drawing a line in the sand, Awin last year announced the Conversion Protection Initiative. Can you just tell people what that is and how it's worked? And it's had a massive impact already, but is this a result of what's happening in terms of what we've just spoken about?
So it's kind of linked, but it's linked. I'll explain why. we were seeing for a while a number of things getting in the way of tracking effectively. And remember, this is a channel that's underpinned by this cost per acquisition model, which I think is still today a wonderfully elegant model. It's still a selling point for the channel. And I think if we're all going out and advocating for this wonderfully pure model, then we have to make sure that we are tracking accurately when we can. Now, we've just spoken about how it's not going to be always possible to do that, but when we can, we should. And actually, the industry has developed some pretty sophisticated tracking methodologies over the years to combat some of the challenges that have been faced, whether that's around tracking prevention, ad blockers, whatever. There's been a number of different things, GDPR, ITP, that have come in the way of effective tracking. The challenge has always been for us is how do you get advertisers that have been with us for years, been doing affiliate marketing for years, to invest the time and energy and development engineering resource to upgrade to the latest tracking methodology?
There's a cost to that, but there's also change is hard, like for any business. So you need to be able to adopt change.
So the drawing the line in the sand was, look, we gave people plenty of grace, but we said, look, after a certain point in time, which we said was April last year, we want everybody to upgrade to the latest tracking methodologies. And if you don't, and there could be many valid reasons why you can't, then we're going to use all the data that we have to come up with a way to assume in a probabilistic way sales that would have happened if you had put the tracking on effectively. And this has driven a huge increase in the adoption of the latest tracking methodologies, which has been fantastic. I even had advertisers come to me and say, thank you for doing this, because I've been trying to get the business to implement the best tracking because it's in their interests to have a clear view of how successful their affiliate program is, but they've not had the incentive internally. They've not had the driver to make it happen. And we've given them that. And so that's resulted in, over $250 million of additional revenue being tracked. It's more than $16 million of additional commission just in the 9 months that we've been doing it. And that's been a great thing.
Yeah, it is a great thing, but it also just shows you how much is not being attributed to this channel. So when you look at your affiliate program and you go, oh, this isn't working, it's not working. It's that you're not tracking everything that should be going through the channel and you're not seeing the knock-on effects. And that is due to the fragmented data situation that we're in.
And the other thing, by the way, that addressed with Conversion Protection Initiative needs some attention is consent, which is obviously a bigger problem in Europe than it is in the US, but it's huge. And that comment I made around, we hear from some advertisers, they're seeing this artificially inflated ROI from their programs. They're seeing the journeys referred from affiliates that we can't track. And this is providing a huge amount of value that isn't being rewarded. So there needs to be something done about that as well. And that's something that we're also thinking about. But I think we're going to see this across the board over the next few years, this notion of value being delivered that isn't being rewarded. It isn't good for anybody. How do we solve it? And this was our first attempt to solve that part. We continue along that path. And then there'll be other attempts to solve other discrepancies to tracking as well.
I think it's going to be huge this year. Like, the thing is, we ignore stuff until we have to do it sometimes because if it broke, you're not going to fix it. Like, it's still bringing in incremental sales. So let's not look at it like, let's not change anything. But I think this is the year where you are going to have to change things because it's too fragmented now and it's not actually accurate. So you have to start getting change implemented. And not everybody's going to jump on the bandwagon and do it this year. There might be some brands that only come 2-3 years later because that's when it starts to affect them. But I think the wheels are in motion and the change is happening and it's going to continue. Let's spend the last little bit of this podcast talking about like future vision for Awin and in its own right as a network. Like, what are you guys actually, other than the tracking, what are you looking to implement? What are you looking to do and provide for your advertisers and your agencies and partners? And also, where do you think the future of affiliate marketing is headed in your personal right, having been in the industry for a million years? So talk with your Awin CEO hat and then talk with your Adam Ross as a person hat.
I'll do my best. I think the thing that we're most focused on at the moment is we launched a beta version of our new platform last year, and a newer version of that is going to make its way into people's hands in February this year in our winter release. So Awin does these quarterly product releases, seasonal product releases, and we're trying to bring meaningful improvements to the experience for advertisers and publishers every season. And this one is a big one because we're getting this platform into more hands. There's been a huge investment in UX, in expanding our UX teams, because our belief is that if we can simplify what is still an incredibly complex channel, we can help everybody get much more value out of the space. So Awin, you can imagine, it's two businesses in one. We have what we call our managed services businesses, which is like our enterprise brands. And then we have our platform services businesses, which is our long tail, smaller advertisers, SMEs that are coming into the space for the first time. And what we find is that there's a huge opportunity for them, but it's really difficult for them to tap into it. And one of the big big problems there is just how complex the system is. So the main idea behind this release is to simplify that whole thing, to get them to the point of money-making partnerships as quickly as they can without the need for them to have account management support, because that's not scalable. We have 30,000 advertisers. You cannot provide one-to-one support to that many people. But we've got a rich treasure trove of data, 25 years in business. We know the types of partnerships that work. We know the rates that you should be paying. We know how to get you going in a positive direction so that you can increase the number of active partnerships you have in your program, and everybody makes more money. So that is the goal, and a huge amount of our effort is focused on getting that platform into everyone's hands. And that will improve over time, right? So it's going to be released. There's definitely going to be problems and bugs, as these things always happen, but we're really looking forward to getting like more user feedback. It's going to improve significantly over time. So you can see massive improvements in usability, in reporting. Our AI assistant, Ava, is deeply integrated into that. That's constantly improving and learning, and we're learning, from all the interactions that we're having with it, that's going to be rolled out across the board. So that's very exciting. What can that become in the end? The potential for that is endless. And so from a technology standpoint, that's the main focus, let's say in the short term. In the longer term, it's a bit like the things we were talking about earlier. So if you imagine that deterministic tracking was the thing that underpinned the entire industry and has served us so well for so many years. So we say that continues, but we need something else that's going to underpin the future success of the industry, to provide a more robust infrastructure to track all the new AI developments that we're going to see, to get more involved in these expanded customer journeys. And you can imagine, let's say in the medium term, those are the things that you're going to see from us. Yeah, no, it's a super exciting time, really is.
And what about you personally? What do you think the future of affiliate looks like?
I'm extremely bullish about the future of affiliate because of a lot of the things that we've discussed, because we're used to this. We're actually well used to this type of disruption. I would say, I don't want to be naive and say that this is going to be like disruptions that we've had in the past. It's probably going to be much bigger, but affiliate is a wonderful monetization infrastructure. Like, we're deeply integrated, embedded with so many great brands, retailers, service providers all around the world. And I think to a large degree, we can be quite agnostic about how the end user experience will evolve and change. And there's absolutely no doubt that it is going to go through some significant disruption over the coming months and years. We just need to make sure that we stick to our roots, that we remain that absolutely core monetization infrastructure. But we look very carefully at the different types of businesses that are now coming into the space. We already see it, by the way. Great new innovative AI startups coming into our space to connect at scale with multiple brands, looking for ways to monetize. And still, CPA model works very well for AI recommendations, right? Where the recommendation needs to be based on that model's knowledge of you as an individual, the personalization, based on the prompts that you enter, then one of the best ways to monetize that is on a CPA basis. Like, that's reward for the transaction. So I think there's a lot to be really optimistic about there. And I think we're going to see a whole new influx of exciting publishers in the space, as we're already starting to see. I think, by the way, the convergence of influencer marketing and affiliate marketing still continues, and people in the future are still going to want to buy from other people, even when they're using AI to supplement with research and whatever else. I think still influencers, creators are absolutely essential to a good quality consumer experience. So both those things, I think, are going to drive phenomenal growth and opportunity for the space in the years to come.
Listening to you and knowing that you've got 20 odd years experience in the industry like I have, we are optimistic, but there's a lot of people out there that are worried. They're concerned. Am I going to have a job? Am I going to still be employed? What does this industry offer me for a long-term career? And the one thing that I can say to anybody listening to this is, hold on to the seat of your pants, because we are going to be in for a wild ride. You might have to double down on some of the experiences that you are training yourself in. You might have to go and learn some new skills. I'm learning how to code apps just because we're building tools within our agency that helps us to become more efficient and provides better quality of service to our clients. And I think that is the only thing you need to be looking at any stage of this evolution, is what service am I providing to my clients and am I adding value? And if you can answer yes and yes to those two questions, you don't need to be worried about what happens next, because it's a constantly evolving industry. And honestly, if you're not happy or comfortable with change, you're in the wrong job, because you and I both know this industry has changed multiple times over the last 2 decades, and it continues to, which is what keeps us involved in it, right?
Couldn't agree more. It's very interesting to listen to somebody like Mark Andreessen from Andreessen Horowitz. I was listening to a podcast interview with him the other day, and he was saying that he thinks jobs will remain, but it's the tasks within those jobs that are going to change.
Think about our jobs 20 years ago. They were completely different. We were doing lots of different things, and love to be able to actually write a book about that. And maybe one day I will, but affiliate marketing then to now, what has changed? And I can remember what I was doing when I was 20 years younger still, because I'm not that old yet. The job function of an affiliate manager is completely different today to how it was 20 years ago. It doesn't mean that it's obsolete.
And it will change again. I think, if we get the right technology in the right people's hands, it's gonna make productivity go through the roof, and you can focus on different things, more important things, and all these things that are to be optimistic about.
I want people to think about this as an opportunity to become more humanistic, because the admin is being taken up by the computer. So get to know your partners better, get to have those one-to-one conversations, because you've got the time to invest in those relationships. Understand what your partners or what your publishers are struggling with, whether it's payment periods, whether it's tech issues, whatever it is, because the faster you can help them to grow their business, really, you're a business consultant as an affiliate account manager. The faster you can use the technology and the tools that you have in your arsenal to help your publishers to grow their businesses, the faster your own program grows. So I do think we're coming to a really exciting age. I want to ask you one question, just a fun question, because we've downloaded quite a lot of stuff here. And I know I gave you like 5 fun questions, but I'm only going to ask you the one. If you could invite 3 people to next year's or this year's think tank, so the one that you mentioned in Chicago or anywhere else for that matter, dead or alive, from the inside or outside our industry, who would those 3 people be? Like, who would be your top 3 people to be at this next event?
This is going to sound super cliche, but I can't think of anybody that would be better able to understand and appreciate how this latest technology is going to disrupt what we do, but how to translate it into human form to make it the most powerful for us. And that would be Steve Jobs, right? This is a guy that was just genius at that. And I think we really miss him now, right? What would he be doing with today's tech? So I think somebody like him, to take somebody that is alive today, I think Satya Nadella would have a lot of interesting thoughts to say about our industry being, let's say, an older digital industry, right? 25 plus years old now, but needing to adapt to the modern era. I think what he did at Microsoft is probably exactly what we need to do as an industry now to move it into this latest era. And so that would be interesting. A third one, I don't know for a third one.
I'll give you mine.
Go on, yeah.
I actually think Mo Gaudat.
Fascinating guy.
To have at one of our industry events, because it's the way that his mind thinks. I don't know if you've ever read his book.
I read his book, yeah.
The way that his mind works and interprets things, I think we had to put him to task in our industry, understanding tech. I just think it would be quite interesting to hear his take.
Fascinating character, yeah. Very positive mindset as well, which I love.
Yeah, I think you need to think outside the box to live in this industry, because we're constantly doing that anyway. So listen, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the podcast. Thank you for being with me today and for talking about some of the things that you're seeing, because a lot of account managers at smaller brands, they just don't get the time with you at big events. And it's just interesting to hear from a leader in the industry in terms of where we're headed and the data that you get to see from within your platform. So thank you for sharing that with us and with our community. It's been a pleasure to have you on the podcast today, and I look forward to seeing you at the next event.
600,000 downloads and counting. Thank you for helping the Affiliate Marketing Podcast rank in the top 2% of shows worldwide. We couldn't do it without you. If you love the insights, show your support. Head to Apple Podcasts, hit subscribe, and drop us a 5-star rating. If you want to be a guest, submit your pitch via our contributor form on affyversemedia.com. Thanks for being part of the Affyverse community. Your growth journey starts here.